Not doing a diet, it doesn't work. As we examine the trends, we can see that fats were vilified, and it was these big giant grain companies pushing the carbohydrate thing. Now we have noticed a shift to a higher fat, lower carb, higher protein diet. And we see that a lower carbohydrate diet is a better way to facilitate fat loss. Now, before this revolution, there was a keto diet, which was discovered as a way to treat kids that had seizures. So the keto diet is 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbohydrate. It varies a bit here and there. Now, trending is the intermittent fasting, which you fast for 16 hours and then you have a refeed window where you eat. Let's say it's an 8 hour window. And even more demanding, we have OMAD, which stands as an acronym for 1 meal a day, which is really demanding, and it shows really good results in terms of HGH spike, insulin drops the body's release of insulin, and it makes you more insulin sensitive. But it's kind of tough to handle that. All right, now whichever track you choose, it shouldn't look like a diet. It should be a lifestyle, which is easily sustainable and providing all the positive health and aesthetic benefits that you want to see for years to come. All right. Now, with every change comes some form of struggle or a challenge. It depends on how you look at it. If you're optimistic, to be a challenge, you overcome your challenge. If you're a pessimist, it's always going to be a hindrance or roadblock. All right. So let's say, for instance, you're on a schedule. If you're at work, it may be easier not to graze all the time, because the topic here is grazing, because you're distracted or busy. And you have to eat at particular times. All right. Now, side note, real quick. I've worked with clients in the finance industry, and these large companies, I think they lend a hand into people being overweight in the office, because they provide all the meals, everything that they need to stay there, so they don't have to leave their office, so they could get more production or to the employees. But in truth and in fact, the sicker you make your employees, the less they produce. So I think there needs to be some type of shift in that space. Right. And another one, that on the shelves in these companies, it ain't broccoli. All right. You know what you're getting. Now, if you're a stay-at-home mom, and what do you do if you have young kids who eat snacks? Kids eat a little junk here, and it's okay. Kids do that. What do you do when you're around that? Or what do you do when you come home from work, or you're on the weekends when you're strict during the week? Because that's a challenge we all face. We're strict during the week because of work, because of schedules. I know we have a little more time to play with. We start grazing, start eating the bad things. All right. And most of the time we graze, guys, is out of boredom. You got to think about this. If you're hungry, you eat. And if you're mindful and you're watching what you eat, you would have a solid meal. You'll have a meal of protein, a salad, low carb, high fat, whatever track you choose. But when you're hungry and you're having a meal, you eat. When you're bored and you graze, there's no control over that. All right. And adding to that, there's no, especially for those with a sweet tooth, as myself, there's no built-in satiety mechanism for sugar. All right. There's a built-in satiety mechanism for fats. There's a built-in satiety mechanism for proteins. The sugar came out as from evolution. We got some sweet, we got to eat it. Sugar converts to fat, because we didn't know when we were going to get the other meal from. So that's how that take place. That's from 10,000 years ago. Now, you would say, what if I don't have a sweet tooth? I might want some salty, like chips. The chips aspect of it, the salt, we do need a salt fix. Like a deer back in the day would travel miles to get a salt lick. Now, salt regulates your blood pressure, your temperature. It also, back then, if you get a good salt lick, it's rich in iodine, and iodine is needed to improve to make sure that your thyroid is functioning properly. Not that white salt crap that you get in the chips now. So if you said you don't have a sweet tooth and you want some salty, you may be deficient in something else, or you probably were so busy during the course of the day that you sat back now and now you're really hungry. So that kind of, every craving is different, right? Because of different reasons. But this, we come down to one point: we're grazing, boredom. So we got to fix that. All right. And for whatever reason, well, if you eat when you don't need to, you're gonna gain weight that you don't want to. So just take that in the back of your mind. Now, it doesn't matter what I say. I know some of you guys are gonna graze anyway. All right. So if you're gonna graze, you gotta pick foods that's not gonna have a negative impact on your physique, and foods that don't have a negative impact on your physique are foods that does not spike insulin. So anything that's spikes your blood sugar, anything sweet or anything that's processed is going to jack your blood sugar up. So you want to up for stuff like kale, big kale chips, nuts, nut butters, celery dipped in like almond butter, cashew butter. I prefer to snack on fats if I need to, rather than something sweet. All right, so just be mindful of that. And lastly, grazing is a bad habit, and bad habits can be broken. So grazing for people who are trying to lose weight is like a cigarette to a smoker. All right. We must realize that we don't need to eat to pass the time. We could do something else to pass the time. Whenever I feel to graze, I would usually have tea. Not that I'm a big tea drinker, but it really helps to cut the cravings a little bit, and it helps me to sit back, and while I'm sipping, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really hungry. As I said before, when you're hungry, you eat, you sit, you have a meal. You're not gonna have a meal of chips and Skittles or whatever it is you eat when you're grazing, right? When you graze, you are not hungry, you are just bored. Pick up a book, do something, all right? So that's how you fix that grazing issue. Know that it's a bad habit. And if you're craving salt, you may be salt deficient. If you're craving sugar, you might be carbohydrate deficient. There's some other things in other mechanisms in there too that may cause you to crave carbohydrates. But just fix it, guys. Right? Always have some water when you feel like having something to eat when it's not your meal time, because most times people mistake thirst for hunger and then they go eat. So it's Jay Nelson here. Hope you have a great weekend. Think about it. See you next week. Talk to you later. Bye.